welcome to another episode of Into the 99, where we got 99 cards because Commander's number one. I'm with Slothy. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. How about yourself?
It's been a long, long month. Um, so Thunder is here, and he got to hear me rant about work. But other than that, how are you, Slothy?
I Yeah, not bad. I only worked on Monday this week. I ended up going for a 3-hour drive to pick up some material, turned around, came back, and just kind of hung out for the last couple hours.
That
Yeah,
must be nice.
been off since then. Went to see the new Nosferatu movie on Thursday.
Oh, I heard it was really good.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It's incredibly well done. The cinematography is beautiful. The acting is amazing. It's
Okay, so that's something. Like, is it like super like atmospheric and scary, or is it more like a thriller?
It's more atmospheric. It's kind of similar to some of other Robert Eggers movies, where it's more of a
Uh,
slow burn, and then it's just more tense. And then there's a couple scary moments, and then it's just tense more, and
yeah,
it
that's
just
fair.
yeah.
So we're also here with Daniel. However, Daniel is in the shadows because he is sick. He's not doing well. He's throwing up, but he's also the only one that does recordings of all this stuff. So he needs to be here for us to talk. And we took the week off last week because of the holiday season. So we're like we gotta punch out an episode for you guys. We're not gonna be like this is gonna be a little bit shorter episode because Daniel is sick, but we do hope that he gets better soon. So
Yeah.
and we will jump into the topic. But before we jump into the topic, we need to shout out to our sponsors. First one is gonna be House of Cards. If you need cards at any time, like you're gonna buy them anyways, just go to House of Cards, promo code was it IT99, get you a little small discount. And like, let's face it, okay, we're Commander players. We like to buy a lot, so and we like to buy like weird things at times. So, and that's actually going to be one of our topics for today. So House of Cards, hey, next one's gonna be AI armor. Pick up the sleeves; they're really good. So nice and fun. I have Groot here, so they're great, fantastic, nice feel to them. They're not like super slick and slippery right off the bat when you open them, like when you first use them. So it's really, really nice for that.
Hmm.
And yeah, they're just fantastic overall. So check them out, AI Armor. Um, On to the topic. And that topic is basically something that I like to do. Slothy, I know you do this too. You
Yeah.
like this kind of style as well. Daniel does as well, but he's sick, so it's just gonna be the two of us. And that is just that we want to talk about plain jank. Now, the reason why this is a shorter episode is because there's not much to talk about with jank. We could probably stretch it out to a full episode, like full, but it's kind of pointless because, like, one, jank is very subjective. Something that you find janky, we might not, but it's just an expression of yourself, right? So, like,
Hmm.
Slothy, you have some janky decks. Like I consider your doctor deck janky deck.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And some other people might not because they're like, oh, like it's like, you know, it's filled with a bunch of good cards and everything, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but he has every single doctor. He's trying to win with every single doctor, right?
Hmm.
That's a little bit janky. I've seen other people where their whole deck is nothing but special cards, like showcase cards, secret layers, all that stuff. And yeah, like it's mostly like good stuff because of that. But at the same time, it's still a little janky because they're stopping themselves from using certain cards, right?
Hmm.
So why do we say play jank? Well, it's because it reinforces three fundamentals in playing Commander. All right, we'll talk about those. But first off, like I need to ask Slothy, Do you think playing Jank makes you a better player?
I honestly think that it does. It forces you to play with, well, not forces you, but it encourages you to play with cards that might not be seen as much. You have to do more research into the things. It lets you work out specific rules interactions because some of the cards that might be a cheaper replacement of the better version might be worded slightly different. So you got to do a little bit more thinking on how things work. And I think overall that just makes you a bit better of a player overall.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I feel that like it kind of does and it kind of doesn't because like I have an example here in the notes that I sent to everyone. It's like you know if you're missing triggers constantly while you play, building a jank deck and playing one doesn't really help you with that unless that
Mhm.
deck is specifically built around nothing but triggers and you're focusing on that so you try to remember stuff like that.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe, but for the most part it doesn't improve you as a player because of that. I 100% agree. It forces like it pushes you towards figuring out and using other cards that you normally wouldn't use or less staples and whatnot
Mhm.
and coming up with new concepts. But overall, it's not designed to make you a better player.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So
guess my example was more around the deck building aspect of it.
yeah,
But
I agree.
in playing, I totally agree.
Yeah, deck building, like, will it make you better? Kind of, and that's why I said like it's more about the fundamentals of playing Commander and whatnot because it's basically like comes down to three things, and these three things are like a core thing in Commander. And if you don't do these, you're just not gonna have a good time. Okay, and they're so basic that we can't really like stretch and talk about it so much, right? So
Mhm.
let's go over these three things. Okay, there's three fundamentals are mana acceleration, so like mana rocks, land rocks, blah blah blah. Okay, card draw and politics. See, there's not much to talk about here. We're not saying like this is what a jank card is and all that stuff. No, once again,
Mhm.
something that is janky is subjective. Okay, like Psychonic Rift, for example, is that a janky card?
No,
No.
I do not believe so.
One, yeah, it's not. However, in my song Tribal deck, it is because there is a song called Cyclonic Rift.
Mhm.
Okay, and my deck is all around cards, like all around spells that are based on song names, right? Cyclonic
Mhm.
Rift is one of them. So it is kind of following that theme of jankiness, but it's Cyclonic Rift, okay?
Mhm.
Same thing with Swan Song. Swan Song is a strong card, okay? It's in my song Tribal. So it is what it is. But
Mhm.
like if I'm playing something like larger than life, okay, Backstreet Boys Millennium album 2000 it was released, I think.
Mhm.
See, triggers. But and that's like a one in a green, instant you give your creature like +4/+4. Like, okay, like
Mhm.
that might be a little bit more on the janky side, but once again, it just comes down to the topic. But when you're playing jank, you find that these three things help you a lot. So
Mhm.
let's go through each one here. Mana rocks, mana acceleration. So, Slothy, what do you think about this?
Well, I think that well, mana acceleration is very, very important to any commander deck. It can be fairly easy to just throw in your like not mana tithe, smothering tithes and mocks and all those ones that you know are going to be really, really good. But kind of going back to what you were saying about your song tribal, it might like those ones. While they're good cards generally, they don't necessarily always fit what you're trying to go for or your theme. Um,
Yeah.
and so kind of like in that vein, what I like to do is it's not difficult. Just go over to EDH Rec or even just Googling it and just finding some like replacements for that might do what you want it to do a little bit better and for $30 to $100 cheaper. Kind of like with Smothering Tithe, you've got your monologue tax, where yes, it's a little
Yeah.
bit slower and clunkier, but you still get that same. Well, I wouldn't say same, but you still get that acceleration.
Yeah.
And just that's kind of the big thing that I like to do. I've been very into building decks where every card is less than usually $1 to $2 lately. So
And
that's
that's
really
still
had
kind
me.
of
Sorry.
no, go ahead. I was interrupting you.
Oh, um, so I've found that really helps look for the cards and the replacement effects that you're kind of getting, and kind of builds your library, if you will.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like let's face it, mana acceleration is important with jank decks. And like when you build jank decks, like you said, Safi, like sometimes certain things just don't work out for you. So you have to be creative at what you can do and
Hmm.
can add. And EDH Direct is very helpful for that. Um, same thing with Scryfall and even Gatherer, right?
Yeah.
Both have their advantages and both have their disadvantages. So, but like in the end, like mana acceleration is really important because let's face it, playing one land a turn for every turn for the whole game sucks.
Yes.
Okay?
100%.
And, and you learn the importance of mana rocks and like things like cultivate, far seek, stuff like that. Revisits. I know they're all green, but you learn the importance of these cards because if you're playing, once again, I'm going to go with like my experiences.
Hmm.
When I'm doing something like a song travel deck, it's very very difficult when you can't throw in a soul ring, an arcane signet, any
Hmm.
signet. Okay, like my mana acceleration things like Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause
Mind Stone,
there's something
Commander
like that.
Sphere.
I Yeah, I can't put in a commander sphere on a song tribal. There's no
Oh
song for
yeah, I
that,
guess that makes sense. Yeah.
right? So it's like, okay, what can I put in? I can put in Sky Diamond. I can put in Fire Diamond,
Hmm.
right? But I can't put in like Mox Amber,
Hmm.
right? So so you like that's one of the fundamentals in building decks in Commander and playing in Commander is mana rocks, mana acceleration. Okay, so you learn how important this stuff is, and you try to push for that. Okay, now if that doesn't work out that well, okay, let's say you only have four like mana rocks in your deck, no problem. The second thing should help us get there as well. Okay, and that's going to be card draw. Once again, card draw is king. We always say that. Why? Because it is so important to refuel your hand. You have all these resources. You can put the pedal to the metal, but what's the point if you don't have anything to play with,
Hmm.
right? So, like Slothy, you're one of the few people I see that abuses card draw a lot.
What?
Like how do you do it? Because like you're either doing card draw or you're using resources from the graveyard.
Um, yeah, one of the big things that I do is like any effect that says do X, draw two cards. Something like Corrupted Conviction or Deadly Dispute. Um, really helps to accelerate you, and if you can look past the part of sacrificing a creature, because and kind of like you were saying, I do like to use my graveyard quite a bit, so some of those cards are usually coming back. Um, but if you can look past that and put some effects to maybe get something back that you would like, they're absolutely phenomenal. It's 1 mana, draw 2. This is Corrupted Conviction I'm reading, for 70 cents. And yeah, it's not going to be like something big and splashy, like a Consecrated Sphinx for card draw,
Yeah,
but it does the job just fine. It still accelerates you on your hand and your graveyard if you're into that sort of thing. And a lot of the times, like treasures, foods, and clues are rampant in the format right now. So even just throwing in the ones that say sacrifice an artifact, there you go.
that's a good point.
You're getting rid of something that doesn't really matter.
No, that's a really good point. Just because like treasures, foods, and clues are definitely in every single game we play now, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
He's constantly seeing them. Like, remember back in the day when we didn't have treasures?
Yeah, remember when they were called gold tokens?
Yeah. Oh yeah, gold tokens. Yeah, there's a reason why we don't make those anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like card draw is just one of those things that, once again, in a deck that's janky and anything, it's hard to come by. And like, the moment you see that you're not refueling your hand constantly, you're having a bad time.
Mm-hmm. And
So
sorry, go ahead.
no, go.
I was just going to say, kind of going back to when we were talking about the mana acceleration, you mentioned like Mind Stone and getting something that can both get you a card when you need it and ramp you early when you need that is huge in a lot of the jankier or more budget commander
Yeah,
decks.
yeah, and like let's just say this, okay? For someone like Mindstone, like I do consider it a mana rock because that's what it's there for.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it has the built-in card draw, just like Commander Sphere. Do I consider that as card draw? I do not.
Okay.
Okay, I know people do consider it as card draw, but here's my reasoning. Why would you cast something and then sacrifice it for the card draw right away?
Yeah.
Okay, like if it's going to be a resource, right? So it's like it's not um like a creature where like you cast it like Secure Tribe Elder, where you can cast it and you sacrifice it for a land at any point in time, or Helpless Researcher, where you can it's a blue creature you sacrifice and you draw a card, right? It's not like that. It's like with a Mind Stone, I'm gonna plan on using the Mind Stone from time to time
Mm-hmm.
until I absolutely need that card draw. And then, only then, will I sacrifice it for the card draw. Other than that, I'm not using it for card draw. So that's why I don't count it as that, right?
That's fair.
But yeah. So I know people are like, oh yeah, like I have a Mind Stone, I have a Commander Sphere. Okay, so now my card draw total is up to 8. No, you have 6.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Yeah.
is why you're not you don't have enough card draw. Okay, don't include those or count them as half. You
Yeah.
know, so like you have like 7 because you have the 6 cards plus half for the Mind Stone and half for the Commander Sphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know, card draw is one of those things that you learn where it is super, super important in jank decks because if it doesn't fit your theme, then you're having a hard time. Okay.
Yeah.
So we just covered 2 of the fundamentals really quickly. As you can see, this isn't much of a topic. Because everybody or the majority of the people understand mana rocks or mana acceleration and card draw are really, really, really key to any deck. Very, very basic. Okay, fine. So, what makes jank fun to play? That's the third thing. And what we're probably going to rely most of the talking points on, and that is politics. I know people that do not like to politic in game. However, it is part of the game, regardless of how you feel. It really is part of the game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why is politics important when you're playing jank decks and how does it improve? Well, it's because on average, your jank deck is going to be the weakest one of all the decks at that table, right? So, and like Slothy, like you actually, you're like the complete opposite. You make jank decks and they're really strong. So, like your doctor deck is annoying.
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like we have very different political styles. Like Slothy, like I play with you a lot, and I watch videos where I'm not playing or anything. Like,
Mhm.
you know what? You say it out of your mouth. Like you explain how your politics is compared to mine, and I'll explain mine after.
Sure. So kind of using the doctors as an example. And I've mentioned this game a couple times, but back when we were at face to face in Calgary, we were playing a game. You were playing Xiao Jun.
Yeah,
Um, and we kind of get going, and my big political thing was really, I know as soon as Sherman starts convincing them to do stuff, they're going to do stuff. So my thing is, I got to convince them that Sherman is going to be the problem and to deal with him.
yeah, and you
So
guys pick me up fast.
how I like to kind of hang out under the radar until it's too late. Like I think in that game, I had the second Doctor out, which gives players no maximum hand size, and at the beginning of my end step, each player can draw a card. If a player does so, they can't attack me or planeswalkers or permanents I control during their next turn. And the card draw is rather enticing. So I was just able to politic them into getting free cards off me and then doing my bidding. And by the time that they'd realized that Sherman wasn't the problem in that game, and I had already set things up and it was too late to stop anything.
Yeah,
Because
and there's
I don't,
nothing that
sorry?
I was just gonna say like there was nothing I could do because I was already dead by then.
Yeah. But like I don't really view the Doctors as a strong deck. Like it's strong, but as soon as people figure out, hey, exile this guy's graveyard, that's it. The
Yeah,
all
it's
but
game
shuts
over.
off the deck.
Yeah, right.
Um, but yeah, my political thing is basically just doing little niceties for people here and there, trying to earn a little bit of favor. Smooth talk a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't work out too well, but when it does, it really does. And then I'm just kind of quietly building my stuff in the corner.
Like I was watching the last game that we put up where you guys are playing with Jojo and Stefan,
Mm.
and you're like, "Hey, I could have killed your commander last turn, but I didn't. So let's not have it face come at me." He's like, Stefan's like, "No, no, sorry,
Yeah,
you are the problem." Like,
yeah.
well, like with Jank decks, in all honesty, you do learn to politic more
Hmm.
because your deck is weaker, right? So like you know, as Sloshy says, that's one of the ways he does politics. Is like with the cards and everything, like having certain cards help with the politics. So like, okay, I'm giving you card draw. Okay, just leave me alone here, or I'm doing this for you. Leave me alone here.
Hmm.
And reason why I say Slothy's the opposite of me is because I don't do that. I do literally the opposite, where I point out to everyone interesting cards. So, because I like the best way to play against me and beat me is to open up your ears and listen. If I'm not saying anything, that means things are going according to my plan. the moment I open my mouth,
Mhm.
you put a wrench in my plans, and I'm trying to convince everyone to get rid of it.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
So,
if you can
if, for
even
example, like let's say someone plays a sanguine bond.
mhm,
Okay, there's two ways to really say like how this is a threat. One is like, oh crap, you're playing sanguine bond. You're the target because you can gain life and deal damage to us. We're screwed. All right, that's one way. My way. Oh, what's that card do again? Wait, what? Time out. What? What does it do? Okay, let me get this straight. Right now, you're draining us each for like 2 life, and you're gaining 6 life. So that 6 life, you get to hit. Well, like not deal damage, but force someone to lose another 6 life if you want, or spread it around. So we can either lose. There's a chance that we can lose what 8 life total
mhm,
in on each of your turns. Like this, like I'm putting in the pauses and everything just because like this is literally what I do. Like I know what the card does. I know the ramifications. I don't care. I'm just like pointing out to everyone, hey guys, here's a simple reminder of what this does, what cards are out there that's helping them do this. So I'm pointing out Segment Bond's a problem because
mhm,
that person is draining us, plus they're gaining life, and plus they can redirect that life, like the life loss, to someone else at the same time. We're in trouble here unless we do something. Okay,
mhm,
this is my mouth going a mile a minute.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
and you can see it's very, very, very like on the opposite end of what Slothy does. Slothy's like, hey, here's the second doctor. You get free cards, but you don't get to attack me. But you get free cards. I'm like, yo, guys, that's a problem because of these things. Help me out. And secretly, I'm like, yes, help me out so that
mhm.
I don't have to deal with it and you can use your removal. This is why you don't trust me. I'm always the problem.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like you were saying with the sanguine bond example. As soon as you finger point and say that, yeah, that card is a problem, the other player is going to be like, okay, so remove it, and the person who cast it is going to maybe intentionally, maybe not, target you a little bit more. It seems, but with the way that
Yeah.
you like to word things, where it's like, oh, that does what? You're kind of letting everybody know that that's a problem without drawing the attention of the person who cast it or the other players, um with it being on your radar. You're kind of just pointing everybody in the right direction to do something about it without directly
Yeah.
telling them to do something about it.
And like doing this, it is like doing it my way is risky. Is
Mm.
way riskier. I will say that, right?
Mhm.
Um, so for example, like we had a game where we're at Daniel's house and Brian was playing with us and everything, and like it was like with my Galadriel, where like I targeted something on Daniel's board, and um he was upset because like it was Quarter of Vantress. I got rid of his Quarter of Vantress, I believe.
Mhm.
Okay, and he's like, "Why would you do that? Like, if you do that, I'm gonna mill you every single turn, every single time." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that." And then Brian brings up his, and I'm just like, "Daniel, I made a mistake." So like, I'm still gonna take the lumps, and I accept that. But I'm like, now I'm pointing out to everyone like, "Hey, Brian's the problem. I thought this was the problem before, and now Brian's brought out the card. Now he's a problem." And I'm like, I'm apologizing. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Daniel. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, And I'm trying to redirect all the hatred from everyone else on the table onto Brian at this point in time. Even
Mhm.
though like I'm still taking the mill from Daniel, I'm like I'm okay because I know Daniel has like graveyard resets in his deck,
Mhm.
like just shuffle your graveyard back in the library. So I'm like, calculate the risk, right? And, and go from there. But like you learn what style you like to politic more when it comes to playing these jank decks because the two of us like playing these decks, but we have totally different styles.
Hmm.
And someone might lean towards the way you play and you politic sloppy compared to the way I do it because mine is very annoying.
Yeah, that is fair. There's definite advantages to the style of politics that you do, which is the more, I find, indirectly targeting things or people.
Yeah,
Um, and the way I do it, which is kind of, hey, I don't care what you guys do, just leave me alone and I'll help you out.
yeah,
Um, like you were saying, I do think yours is definitely riskier. Um, draws a bit more attention. Um,
unwanted attention.
yeah. Whereas is the way I do it can be riskier because I'm giving people resources that as soon as they realize, hey, this guy's bringing stuff back from his graveyard, we should stop that. It's all over.
But yeah, it is what it is. But like
Hmm.
like like I said, there's not much to talk about. Like we've always wanted to talk about jank decks and playing jank decks, but like in all honesty, there's not much to talk about for it. Like we've covered three parts of this topic, and these are things that you need to be really good at or become good at when playing jank decks and building jank decks. But
Hmm.
other than that, there's not much else to talk about. We can go on saying like how do you do this research and everything, but once again, it's so subjective. It's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's really a fairly straightforward topic. You just gotta do your looking and have
yeah,
have a cool
just
idea.
spend the time. Yeah, come up with cool ideas. Spend the time, sit down. Just like building a regular deck, it's just more challenging. That's it, right?
Hmm. More
So,
challenging, but I find more rewarding a lot of the time because you can say, "Hey, I beat somebody with Craterhoof Behemoth," or um, something like that. Or you could say, "Hey, I just won a game off of convincing everybody to attack each other, and then playing Gallifrey Stance and having all the doctors."
yeah, and that's the thing. Okay, that's what this comes down to is and why we kind of keep on always wanting to talk about this topic and yet we can't really because like it is too short, but we want to emphasize the fact that it is so much fun when you're
Mhm.
playing these styles of decks. Okay, you you're not like fully focused on like winning, you're just
Mhm.
more focused on expressing yourself and having fun. And the more you play these decks, the more you play that deck that you have, and you tweak it and you work on it and you improve it, you eventually find that you do kind of become a better builder because you know how to use resources to search up cards and everything.
Mhm.
What works, what doesn't. But more importantly, when you pull off those wins, those epic wins, they are so memorable and they are so much fun. You tend
Mhm.
not to go back to just like building like powerful decks for like $800, right? You
Mhm.
just don't care.
No, at a
So
certain point, it really just kind of, especially for people who tend to build as many decks as like we do, or Dan especially. Um,
yeah,
building all
you
those
get bored.
ultra powerful decks with all the staples and kind of going back to our staple episode,
Yeah,
it just gets boring. Like just doing
yeah,
the same thing over and over again. It's fun for a little while, but then it quickly loses its magic. And like one
yeah,
of my favorite cards of all time, Strixhaven Stadium, is incredibly janky, in my opinion. And there's a decent amount of playing around you have to do to figure out how to actually play it. Like if you're intending to play it as a mana rock or as some way to quickly eliminate somebody, there's certain patterns you have to recognize, and that's a lot of fun compared to just, hey, I'm throwing down, like, this is a more competitive example, but throwing down Thassa's Oracle, oh, in response, demonic consultation.
Yeah, like it. I find that you become more creative when it comes to your wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like, yeah, once again, you know, give it a shot. It is a lot more fun. I really wish we could talk more about this, but what like these are very basic things that everyone does. It's just on a matter of how much you do it. Like, because like everyone knows mana rocks are important in your deck, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
mana ramp, right?
Yeah.
We all know that it's important. The difference is that are you only throwing in 6, or are you throwing in 8, or are you throwing in 12, or all that stuff, right? And
Mm-hmm.
in jank decks, you're you're praying that you get like close to 8.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
exactly.
most like I build very, very, very weird janky decks. You guys all know that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had where it's like every single spell has the word sacrifice in it. I've had it where like I've touched it all, right?
Mm-hmm.
My book tribal is the most popular one that I do because every single thing has to be in the artwork where it's a book or a piece of paper or something like that. Like I basically made it into a paper tribal instead of book tribal. That's what it started
Mm-hmm.
off as, but its nickname stuck. But it's basically paper tribal because we're playing paper magic,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like having those mana ramps early on was difficult as sets came out and secret layers came out. It's been easier, but like I've built decks where I needed um the word ion in every single thing for the name of the spell, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I think it's like the card I had was the head the champion or something like that, and like it had to have ION in there somewhere. So you have like anything that says champion or demolition or
Mm-hmm.
things like that, right?
Yeah.
So like you learn mana ramp, card draw help a lot because those are things that you're lacking. And when you build future decks, if it's like a normal deck, you focus on that and you find that it is very, very, very consistent because of that.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing is politics. Politics makes or breaks the game for you because once again, your deck is so weak compared to anyone else's, you know. And I don't mean like cost wise, right? Like early on my book tribal, I had a metal worker in there. Okay, at that time that was
Mm-hmm.
like $120 just for one card. Okay, so my deck was like pushing like $400.
Yeah.
Right? Is it cheap? No. Is it good? No. Power scale? It was like maybe a 3. It was
Mm-hmm.
not a good deck, right? But I kept at it, right? And I learned to politic, and like politics is like very like when you play, it makes it very, 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 very fun.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're trying to negotiate because your deck is so bad and everyone sees it. But when you
Mm-hmm.
squeak out a win, it's just so much more epic. But anyways,
Yeah.
do you have anything to add to that, Slothy?
Um, One kind of point that I had as well, and it's just kind of it's less of a jank specific thing and more of a overall um gameplay learning experience. It's quite easy, especially when you get down to playing some of the lower powered decks. To I find, and I kind of fell into this too when I started building more jank and budget and all that stuff. It's easy to kind of fall into playing the colors and pairings that you're comfortable with. And one bit of advice is just go and build like as many various colors and pairings as you can. It'll not only just kind of well round you to what each color and pairing excels at, but it'll also show you a bunch of neat interactions that you wouldn't necessarily notice. Like, for example, if you only play Azorius, or primarily, those are the colors that you like, you wouldn't necessarily be as knowledgeable on things um like the corrupted convictions or stuff like that. Like just an example, everybody knows a little bit of all the colors and cards, but I find that going outside of your comfort zone and doing the research on that stuff makes you way more versatile, and you learn certain interactions that maybe aren't prevalent in Azorius but are prevalent in Bant, for example. And then you're not just
That's
building an
fair.
Azorius deck with green, you're building a full Bant deck.
Yeah, that's that's a very, very, very good point that I totally missed. But like that is like I didn't even think of it, but that is a very good point. Like I we all have our preferences for certain colors. So like Flossie, you're pretty much like black.
Yeah.
So Daniel, yeah, Daniel's green. I'm a blue
Hmm.
player.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah. So we tend to lean towards those colors, but yeah, like when you try building this way or playing these decks in colors that you're not used to, oh, the creativity you have to come up with sometimes.
Hmm.
So and like you do learn interactions that you normally wouldn't think of or whatnot, or you do learn rules. Like so like a famous one, a very, very popular one is when people are like, okay, I wanna play Elish Norn, the Grand Cenobite. Okay, the one that
Hmm.
gives plus two and minus two to all your opponents, right? So you get all plus two plus two. And people are like always like, what should I throw in? And they always question this combo, and that's Cormus Bell and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, right?
Hmm.
Because they're like, Urborg, but that's a black card, isn't it? You can't put that in. It's like, no. So the card is says when it enters everything, or when it's in play, everything is a swamp. There's no color identity for it, so you can put it in. Okay, there's no swamp symbol or whatnot. It only becomes a swamp when it's in play, right? So you can put in an Urborg, and you can put it into Core Spell to destroy everything, right? This is a
Hmm.
very, very, very like popular thing that is brought up every single time someone talks about Elish Norn. Okay,
Hmm.
but people don't understand that because they're like, it's mono white, or or like blind obedience. Okay, it has extort, and people are like, oh, you can't put it in that because the reminder text shows a black and a white. You can't put that in a mono white. No, that's reminder text, right?
Hmm.
So you learn these little things, okay? And I know people are like, oh, come on, this is magic. You should know this stuff. You know what? People learn at different rates. Okay, someone
Hmm.
asking this, they might have been learning or play, might be still be playing, like learning the game and playing it for like maybe like 4 months or less than a year, and they're still
Hmm.
understanding the rules. Okay, if you're like a savant where you know every single rule and you've been playing for 10 years, don't be a jerk.
Hmm.
Embrace the person's questions, okay, and be thoughtful and please understand not everyone has the knowledge that you do. No one,
Hmm.
everyone has the amount of time that you've had to get dedicated to the game. So be nice, right?
Hmm.
But like, I agree with you 100%. Like, playing these colors that are outside of your comfort zone does help you become a better player, and it is very, very fun. And I'm very bad at not doing that.
um
So Yeah, you have anything
Yeah.
else to add?
Uh, no, I think that's about all. Maybe one more thing, kind of going back on your previous point. There are a ridiculous amount of rules in Magic.
Yeah,
Um, so just be kind to your fellow player who, like
we
you were saying, maybe he's only been in the game for 4 months and is trying to learn. But it's a daunting task. The rule book is over
yeah.
200 pages long.
Yeah, like we get things wrong constantly. You guys pointed
Mhm.
it out, and it's just like, okay, thanks, guys. We'll remember for next time. And you know what? That is very helpful. When we do get things wrong, you guys do point it out. You know, we do appreciate it. And sometimes we get the occasional jerk comment, but 99% of the time, you guys point it out, and we're like, oh, that's how it works. Okay, cool. Thanks so much.
Mhm. Like
So we
even
greatly appreciate that. We also greatly appreciate you guys putting up with us for this whole time. This is the last episode of the year because the next episode is going to be in January.
Mhm.
So we wish you guys all the best. And yeah, like that's the episode. We're gonna
Yeah.
end it off here, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much for all of the very fond memories of this year. This has been an amazing year. Um, and yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to showing off some more stuff in 2025.
Oh yeah, we definitely gonna get some more games in, or more games recorded and whatnot. So, but Daniel, if you're there, you can do me a favor and hit the button for the outro music. Is it coming? There you go. Once again, thank you for listening to all of us. And, I'm sure Daniel will say the same thing. Thanks for listening to us for this whole time and supporting us this whole year. If you want to support us more, you can go on to Patreon and just even as a little as a dollar goes a long way. It shows your support to us and whatnot. You can also go on to Spotify or YouTube or whatever device you use to listen to us. Give us a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe. It goes a long way. It's for free when you do that. So yeah, try help us out here. Get us known and seen by more people. We need a shout out to our sponsors once again. Also cards. If you're looking for cards, World Housing Cards promo code IT99 gives you a small discount and helps you out, lets you buy more cards that way. They're fantastic for that. And our other sponsor, AI Armor, one of the best sleeves in the game. So they have great designs, great deal for them. Check them out, AI Armor.
And also,
And now we will just let it roll for a bit.
one more thing. Do let us know what your favorite Jank brew is down in the comments. Let me know what is Jank to you. That's all I've got. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Hit us up in the comments for that, and we will see you guys next year. Laters.